why this woman was living alone, how did I meet her, what is her story in this video. I'm Theresa Khalil, a writer, a documentary filmmaker from Egypt. I spent most of my life in the Arabic world and now I'm living in Europe for about 10 years. I would say that I lived a very rich life full of stories, and I share some of it on this channel. This story of a woman who lived alone I met when I was in Egypt. She was in a nursery home for seniors. At that time I was in my 20s. I was about 24, 25 years old. I was always questioning life. I was always thinking about the meaning of life. As you can see from this channel, where I have a series where I meet people who change their belief, and I always ask them what is the meaning of life, and you can follow the series. It's started with a documentary film called The Scrapbook of Life, Wang Zongyang, and it continued as a podcast where I met people from different parts of the world, but they changed from many beliefs to many beliefs. And so that was a project that I was dreaming of doing, because I always was curious about the meaning of life. And every time I meet someone old and I know that they are not going to live as long as they lived, I just become so curious about their life story and how they feel about being at the end of the journey, facing death soon. Although I was at that time 25 years old, so young and full of life, but I was always curious about those old human beings, okay? So I always want to go to people who are old and ask them, what was your story? Who are you? How do you feel now as you are at the end of your life? Because I write and because I was interested in, I also won a competition at university for writing stories, and so I wanted to work as a journalist. And I found an advertisement in the newspaper in Egypt, and it was a newspaper who were looking for young people. They didn't need to have a certificate or a bachelor or something. You just need to be curious and to have a camera, and that you go around Cairo and hunt for stories. So I went, I had the interview, and I started working with them. It was a newspaper called the Arab Union. The first topic that came to my mind was going to a nursery home, or for seniors, for old people. And I found this beautiful nursery home, and it was so elegant in Heliopolis, which is an area for, let's say, high-class people in Cairo. And so I go with my camera and I go around the people in the nursery home, asking them about their stories. But the one that caught my attention and I was fascinated with was this very elegant woman who was staying in her room. Her room was so beautiful, full of all kinds of paintings, because she was an artist. So classy. She was dressed in an elegant way, and she make her own accessories. She is just flooding with creativity and art. So I asked her about her life story and how that she was like about, I think, 60 years old. How do you feel now? How did you live this life? And then she told me that she was brought up in an Egyptian household, with her sister. And she studied art. She became an art teacher at a school. And she lived this beautiful, normal life, but she never found love, She didn't get any chance to meet someone to have a relation with. And no one proposed to her. Like, even through arranged marriages, no one proposed to her. So she started growing older, and her mother died. Then her father died. She was living with her sister, who also wasn't married, and they were living together, just going to work, coming back, and their life was so limited, so they didn't get a chance to meet guys or to meet men. And then her sister got sick. She also died. So she suddenly found herself alone. She was living alone, no friends, no, she has colleagues at work, but no one at home. You know, this person, this feeling, well, which I talked about in my documentary, Love Surfing. I will leave a link to it. I filmed it in Belgium, and it's documenting one of my dating stories in Belgium, online dating. But I was talking in the film about this feeling when you, no matter what you are doing outside the house, when you come home and you have no one to talk to.
أعود لحوائط المنزل الباردة بعد يوم عادي أو يوم مليء بالأحداث. أشعر برغبة في مشاركة أفكاري ومشاعري مع ذلك الشخص القريب مني والذي ليس له وجود في واقعي.
You have no one, actually no one cared if you came back or not. So that was the feeling of this woman. She was an art teacher. Her parents died, her sister died, and she just found herself living alone. And yeah, she may have a friend here or there or a colleague, but everyone is busy with their own life. Finally, someone, through a friend and arranged marriages, someone who was married before and divorced proposed to her. And then she's at the time maybe in her 50s. And then she think, okay, I don't want to be alone, you know. I will marry this man. He was in the police or the army. He was a rank in the army, I don't know, sergeant or something like that. And he was so violent. I mean, this doesn't mean that people in the army are all violent. No, I was working with the army before in Egypt, and they are very kind, very nice people. But her husband, the one she married, was violent. So he was beating her. He was, you know, and she's so delicate. She's an artist. So he was treating her terribly, that she had to even pay him money to get rid of him. So she lost a lot in this marriage, emotionally and financially, just to escape the abuse. And finally, she found herself back to square, maybe less than zero, because she lost in this experience that she had to go through in order to save herself from being alone. And she went back to being alone again. At that time, she was also retired, you know, in her 60s, or even work. She didn't go to work anymore. And that's when she felt so lonely. And she was telling me that at the time, whenever she heard a sound on the stairs, like a cat or something, because in Egypt, cats are everywhere. It's not like here in Europe where each animal has his owner. No, in Egypt there are a lot of whenever she hear a cat on the stairs, she panic and she feels so scared. So she decided to go to this nursery home for seniors, just to have someone to feel that she's supported by a community, or someone will come to check on her, you know, if something happened. And when I met her and was documenting her story, she told me that she spent her day in painting. She go to the nearby, there was a park nearby, she would go and paint there as well, come do her accessories, chit chat with the other seniors. And I remember I felt so sorry for her that she actually didn't experience love, you know. She didn't experience the happiness of, I usually say, love is the happiness of life, you know. So she didn't get the chance to experience this. And she's such a beautiful person and very creative, very artistic. So I would say she deserved better, but what happened happened. And that was the end of her life, you know. This reminds me of a movie I watched when I was looking for love and my life partner. It was called The Women in Lavender. It was talking, I think, about a woman who was living in a fishing village in maybe Scotland. and how that she didn't have much options in her village. There are a limited number of men, and so she also didn't get the chance to be in a relation at all. And she reached her 70. She became an old woman, and she was walking on the beach one day when she found a young man in his 20s, handsome. The waves threw him on the beach, and he was dying, and she brought people to save him, and she brought him to her house to take care of him until he recovered. But then she started fantasizing about what would it be like if she was young, if she was young, and she started living this love story with this young man. And some of the scenes in the film were like she's imagining herself young, running, and the guy is running after her. and I was thinking, like, that's so sad that she's in her 70s and she never experienced how does it feel like to be in a relation. So when I met that woman in the nursery home, I just knew that I would definitely want to find my life partner, because life becomes more magical when there is love. You can have a cup of tea by yourself, but it becomes more beautiful and magical when you are having it with the one you love. It's something that Bruce Lipton was talking about, called the honeymoon effect. When you are in love, then everything becomes magical, even the normal things. So I'm sharing this story because, as you know, I had a long journey to find love and my life partner, and soon it will be in my book, Love Surfing, which is already published in Arabic, but I'm now preparing it in English. And it's about my online dating journey between Egypt and Europe. And when you are from a different culture as well, that's even more challenging. Follow me here so you don't miss when it's out. And I was attending a workshop with someone who writes a lot of books. I don't remember his name, Michael something, and he was talking about how that you don't need actually to find love, and it's enough, you are enough, and it's enough to just be with yourself. And he also, one of the things he was promoting in this workshop is that marriage is just a failure system. And to be honest, I wasn't convinced at all of none of what he was saying. The attendees of this workshop were a lot of single women who were also in the 40s or 50s or 60s, and they were feeling lonely, and they wanted something to comfort them, something to tell them, no, it's okay to be alone, and the truth is, no, it is not okay. But if you are alone, then it's good to accept it. Accept that you are alone. But you still, I would say, there are many people I meet who are longing for being in a relation. It doesn't even have to be this intimate love relation, but just to be with someone who you feel that they care for you and you care for them. That's so important. It's like that's how humans are designed. Why you want to make it seem as if okay, I'm going to discover this reality where I will connect with the source, and that's it. Even monks, monks who live on alone, they live in communities as well. There is no such a thing as living on your own or living alone, that you have no one to check on you or no one to connect with. That's not that's not right. That's not how you are designed, and that's not healthy. The problem is that what I noticed also is that people, as they get older, they get even less patient, and they have the minimum effort to invest in a relation. Many people are short-tempered. Many people get upset so quickly, you know, and their solution is just to cut the person. You know, this person is upsetting me, cut him out of my life. This person I don't agree with, cut him out of my life. And then you just end up being alone. So I don't agree with the idea that it's okay to be alone. I don't agree with the idea that marriage is a recipe for a failure or disaster. You need to get in peace with the idea that you're a human and you are a social animal, so you need to be in a community. And I do respect this woman who realized this, and she went and she stayed in a nursery home by her choice just to have this community. And I know it is difficult to find the one that you click with, because I have a long journey with that. It took about 9 years until I found someone that I can have a relation with. That was for me so difficult, with all my requirements and all my way of thinking that doesn't belong to the East, doesn't belong to the West. But I think it is worth it. And even now, I'm always on the hunt for having a community, like building a community, being more tolerant, being more accepting of others, even if they don't agree with me on everything. If we face a problem or we have a miscommunication, we can just clear it up without being mad or impatient. Or yeah, I think that you just need to understand that dealing with humans is not easy, but it is worth it. And this is for people who prefer animals over humans, because I don't think animals can replace a human. So that is the story, and my question is, do you agree with me or you disagree? Do you think that humans are better be alone, or you think that we are designed in a way that we need each other and we need to be in a social setting? Let me know down in the comment. And remember that I have a journal that I designed for a more healthy, calm, conscious, and creative life. It's called Fukaira, which means in Arabic mini idea. It's in English and in Arabic, and you can find it on Amazon, and you will find a link to it in the description box. It has prompts for journaling, and it's also more practical, so you will find majority of the ideas are things that you need to apply and test for yourself. And soon on the channel I'm going to make a video about some of the ideas and how I apply them and how I write about them and document them in this journal. See you in a coming video.